So we're going to be ordering or trying to discover some decimals that fit between these two targets, right? So our target up here is 129 thousandths, right? And if you want to, if it helps you think about, if you're more familiar with thinking about whole numbers, right? You could think about this number like 129 in this case. And then you'll notice that this is bigger this time than our other target number. So these are our boundaries, right? So we want to find three numbers that fit between 129 and 121. So essentially, we're going from greatest to least. So what we can do is we can think about where we're starting, right? We always want to start with our ones or with our numbers that are biggest, furthest to the left. And so in this case, we have 0 1s and 0 1s in both of our numbers. So we know that the only thing that can go between those two targets is 0. So I just move this sort of magenta boundary over to know that we already got that column good to go. We've checked it out, right? So now we're going to move to the next column. So if we move here, we're going to move to the next biggest set of numbers, which are going to be our tenths. And when we think about this here with our tenths, right, we know that we have a 1 and a 1. Well, there's not much, challenge with our discovery there because the only thing that could fit between them are going to be ones, right? If you go 0, it's too small. If you go 2, it's too big. So then we're going to say, all right, well, let's go to the next biggest set of numbers, and those are going to be our hundredths. And now, oh my goodness, we again have a pretty clear boundary here, 2 to 2. Well, our boundary says the only thing that could fit between 2 and 2 are 2s. So here we go, we're going to do 2s. And then we say, all right, let's go to our next column. Do, 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 do. And so we'll say, okay, this has got to be where we find some difference, right? So we're starting at 9, and then we say, yes, 1 is smaller. So there's a series of numbers, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, that can fit between those targets. So we can pick some of those, 8, 7, 2, right? You could pick whichever ones you want. And then you could check it by saying 129, 128, 127, 122, 121. Yes, it goes in order from greatest to smallest. Now, we're not necessarily ordering them here, but we just are trying to find three that fit. So you could put them in a different order, it would still work. You could also choose other digits to fill up your thousandths here. That would also work. If you wanted to get super specific, you could also add more digits into your 10,000, right? Like this would still end up working because if you put zeros in the rest of the spots here, we would then read this as 1,290. 1,280 is a little smaller. 1,277, yep, a little smaller. 1,220, yep, a little smaller. 1,210, yep, a little smaller. So that all it lines up, right? So you can use at least the place value spots that you are given, right? Thousandths for where we technically ended, but you can also go beyond into 10 thousandths or even smaller if needed. And then we want to just remember that this isn't really in the 1000s, right? We're not talking really about 1,290. We're really talking about 1,290 10,000ths, right? In this case. So we want to make sure that we have our decimals and that we are able to read it with our decimal fancy